Welcome back to another Kathy Barnette Show episode. I'm so very grateful that you would take the time to listen in. You know the drill. Hit the subscribe button, followed by the notification button, followed by leaving a comment. All of this helps. Trust me, it does. The algorithms, they love interactions. And make sure you copy and then share this podcast. I think you guys are really going to like this. If there was ever a story about redemption, persistence, and never giving up, I think our next guest certainly fits that description. Mr. Tanner, hello, how are you, sir?
Hey, I'm great. How are you doing today?
I am doing well. Thank you so much for taking some time out and coming to talk to me. I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. It's an honor.
For most of you who may not have heard of Mr. Tanner, his name is Charles Duke Tanner. I was looking at your story, Mr. Tanner, and if you don't mind, I would like to kind of break it down into three phases here. We have the pre, the during, and then the post conviction and where you find yourself today. But
Yes.
let's just start off with the pre conviction of it all. And you guys will want to stay and make sure you listen to the during and then the post, his time after that. But looking at your story at its genesis, it is one that is very inspiring. You won 90 fights as an amateur boxer. You were
Yes.
undefeated, 19-0 light heavyweight boxer. You were trained by one of the trainers for Muhammad Ali. You
Yes.
won bronze medal at the 1996 Junior Olympics World Games. Uh, Tell me about your genesis, your family. What was it like to be at the pinnacle of your boxing career?
Well, first and foremost, I'm gonna give all my praise and glory to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, because without Him, I wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation with you right now. Um, I'm My name is Charles Duke Tanner. I'm from Gary, Indiana. I was born with at a household with both parents, but we came up during the crack epidemic in the 1980s. I was born in 1980, so alcohol and drugs was a normal, and violence in my neighborhood and pretty much in my household as well. But I'm the youngest boy out of it's 10 of us, and I'm the youngest boy. So I had to come up a little. I couldn't cry, because my oldest brother that's closest to me is 6 years older than me. So I had it a little different, and I chose boxing to try to pull my dad from off drugs and just, bring everything back because he loved boxing so much because he was a fighter as well. And my older brother, Lamont. And I used boxing as the key to take away some of my pain, to take away everything, to also let it be the success to lead me to take my family out of this community that I
Right.
thought that was so much different. I was blessed at like 14 years old because of my boxing to where I met the Friends of Duke Tanner, which is a 501c that they created to get me an education because they was really after my boxing ability, but none of my siblings or cousins or dad with the last name Tanner had ever graduated. And I told my mom, I'm gonna be the one that walk across the stage for you. And so when these guys was interested in me based on boxing, I said, well, I want to go to this school and it's a private school and that's what I want. So they looking at me like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah, I want an education. And they end up paying for me to go to Andrean High School. The head guy over Duke, over the Friends of Duke Tanner name was Robert Weissman, attorney out of Chicago, Illinois, and he followed me through. And I got good grades, and I was able to learn how to deal with diversity and things of that nature, and it turned out to be a great thing. And I went on to have a 90 and 0 nine. I had 90 wins and 6 losses as an amateur fighter.
As an amateur fighter. So where do we get the undefeated 19-0 light heavyweight? So that's a different category, amateur versus
I
light
had turned
heavyweight.
professional. No, I had turned professional in high school. I mean, right after high school, at 18 years old, I could have tried for the 2000 Olympic team, but I was trying to prevent what I ended up running smack dead into, meaning,
Was
I
injury.
needed finances, so we couldn't keep fighting for trophies, so we needed to bring some finances to the home, and I turned professionally at 18 years old, and I took that record to be 19-0 and with
And
11
how old were
knockouts.
you when you went to the Junior Olympic? This is 1996, so you're like what,
I was
16?
16 years old. Yeah, the Junior
Mm.
Olympics was I was 16, and 2 years after that, I turned professionally. And
And what age do people generally turn professional?
it's different, but the average fighter probably 22, something like that, 23
Turning
years old.
professional at 18, did that make you more susceptible to injury versus waiting 4 years to 22? Do you think?
I don't think so. I
Okay.
think that I was more a professional fighter than I was an amateur fighter. I was more relaxed and could take my time, and I had been putting in so much work all my life that I was in great shape, and I was ready to endure those type of fights because when I met the guys, Robert Wiseman, the friends of Duke Tanner, I was at an amateur fight. Um, and I was 13 years old, and I ended up fighting a guy that was 19 years old, and you really don't supposed to do that, and I beat him. Then
And you won.
the next day I came back and fought a 21-year-old, and
And this
bait
is
is
you
I
at 13?
yes, and when I look back at it now, it was more about the way that I was raised. I would have been. And I was really at that time fighting and using boxing to get my dad off drugs, be trying to bring him to the
Mhm.
gym. And if I would have been like I didn't want to fight someone that was scared to do it, then I thought maybe him and my brothers would have looked down on me. So even though now as I look back, I didn't supposed to be in the ring with a older person. I could have got hurt, but some fights fell out. So my coach was like, I was just there to really carry the gym bag for the other fighters, and because I was always trying to go see fights to learn
Right.
things, and I ended up fighting both nights.
Wow.
Yeah,
You
so
know,
nah, I was ready.
our story, I mean, you're in Gary, Indiana. I'm in, a one-stop sign town in Alabama, grew up in dire poverty. Yours seems more like concrete jungle, inner city kind of thing, was it? Whereas mine was truly country. When I say country, I mean I grew up very country.
Oh no, we was in a city in the
Yeah.
middle of it. We was 20 minutes away from Chicago, so you know we was the murder capital in
Mm.
1992. We talking about a city with
And
a
that
hundred
is
hundred thousand people,
Yeah, and
at
so
the
that's
time.
where you are. I just want to put myself in the place of you as a child. I grew up very poor, very impoverished, but I grew up on a farm in the deep country, a one-stop sign town. I used to think poverty was poverty, right? And then my uncle said, "No, Kathy, city poor is very different from country poor." The way we
Right.
grew up, right? We were poor financially, but at that particular time, today is very different. But back then, drug had not infiltrated our community. And
Hmm.
although I did not grow up with a father in the home, we had my grandparents, my dad's set of grandparents, very close knit family. Everyone did everything together. And I had no idea how poor we were. I was
Right.
loved. I mean, I grew up poor, right? I grew up in a home with no insulation, no running water, outhouse in the back, well on the side, poor.
Right.
But it always sounds very different when I hear someone talk about their upbringings. Like Dr. Ben Carson, spoke with him, and he's talking
Right.
about inner city poor. There seems to be a different a different degree of lack when you talk about city. Like, have you given much thought between the differences between city poor, country poor? Because
Uh,
yours seemed more desperate than mine did.
and but you know what though? At the end of the day, they're kind of all the same.
Hmm.
You just experiencing it different because you have a lot of people that say they went through the things that we went through because they didn't have a father in the home, which a father matters. But you got a lot of people that go through things that have a father in the home, so or have both parents in the home. So um, it's just a little different. But the thing about the city poor, I feel, and really depending on the size of the city, is more dangerous. And that's where the danger come into the fact to where, maybe some people waking up saying like, hey, I ain't finna be poor no more. I'm finna go take this. I'm finna go take that.
Because they
The,
don't have, like in the country, everyone knew everyone. It was one stop
everybody,
sign. We all
right,
knew everyone. So if somebody was acting crazy, you knew about it, right?
right.
If
So
I did something at the top of the hill, by the time I made it back down to my grandmama, she already knew what I had done, right? Like it
right,
was more of a community and a connection. I think that is one of the major distinctions between city poor. Not only that you're more densely populated, so you have more people to deal with, versus in a country setting is typically less, but also I felt like what I did reflected every single person in that community. And so I felt a sense of, if I act a fool, then I'm going to be speaking poorly about all of the people in that community.
and in the city, it's a little different. It's more, and then it started to get segregated with the gangs. You
Mm-hmm.
know, in the different neighborhoods. So therefore, now you got the poor going against the poor, and the blind leading the blind because that's how you really got to look at it. So it was really starting to get segregated, and that's where the violence started at. And then, like you
Yeah.
said, the drugs had hit, and so now they're taking over. So the main suppliers and the leaders of the community was the drug dealers and things of that nature, and they didn't want to lose their turf. So the younger people, they protected them pretty
So,
much.
like most situations, I know mine is, I grew up without a father in the home. But again, I had these older statesmen in our lives,
Yeah,
both sets of grandparents. So that provided some stability for us. Your situation seems to be a little different from what most Black people, Black children grow up with, without a father in the home. You actually had a father in the home. However, he was, according to what I just heard from you, addicted to drugs. How was that experience relative to what we hear oftentimes of the fatherlessness in the home, and you just need a father in the home? How did that play out for you? It seems like it motivated you.
yeah, it still played out good. And then as an adult, I learned it wasn't an addiction; it was a disease. You know
Mm.
what I mean? Because um, when a person going through something, they gonna be there the best way they can be. I had the love. I had that. It just, he had a situation at the time, and when he overcame it, it could have been the same thing with parents with alcohol, or
Right.
parents that smoking cigarettes or whatever it may be. It's about what you get out of it to the standpoint, and I still believe though. I believe that a father inside the home is better for any kid because um it's just what they want, whether it's a girl or a boy, even if they're doing the wrong things, you know what I mean, it's still good for them to be there. I
Did
just
you
think you'll
feel
have a
loved by
better
your
chance.
father?
100%.
Yeah.
a hundred
And
percent
were you successful in your young child's mind, thinking, if I stay out of trouble and I do really well in boxing, then I can help my dad beat this disease? Were you successful in that? Did he overcome the disease?
that's why I turned pro. I watched him quit cold turkey, no help,
Because
following
he
me into
wanted
the
to be
gym.
around you and be a part of that experience?
100%.
That's
And I'll never
awesome.
forget it, and even when my mom got sick, my mom ended up having a stroke.
Right.
And I watch my dad every day, washing all the clothes, getting her 3 meals a day, giving her an insulin shot, changing her diaper,
That is
no help.
something, right? I mean, like, that's
Yes,
something family and you're born into this unit. We don't get to pick our family,
Right.
but they're there.
Yeah.
And, you see the struggles as a child. I certainly saw the struggles in my own family unit, but I saw people showing up the best they knew how.
That's the
And,
answer.
and, yeah, and doing the best they could in that moment. It may not be the best by some people's standards, but it seems like we've lost that sense of grace.
Hmm.
It seems like today you have to be perfect, the perfect parent, never scream at your kids, never lose your temper, just always be right on point, or
Yeah.
else somehow you're deficient and you're unworthy. Do you sense that today, like
Yeah.
that lack of grace today versus when we grew up?
Yeah. But to me, I think that's fake though, because like, reality is reality. Like you said, we don't get to pick who our family is. I tell a lot of the kids now that I talk to, like, listen, because I learned, sometimes I used to be mad about and upset about some things, but as I grew older, and like I said, I watched him when my mom got sick on how he handled that, and that's what a man's supposed to do. So no matter what he done in the past, look what he did. But even on the biblical standpoint about what you do in a marriage, through sick and worse, good or bad, however it goes or whatnot.
Yeah.
He was there through all of that. So therefore, I say like we have to use that as energy to be successful. I think that you can look back and say like, I went through this, I went through that, but I don't want my child to go through that. So
Right.
I'm gonna use that because you got to honor your mother and father no matter what.
So you
So
are one
therefore,
of 10. How did your other 9 siblings turn out? Were they also as focused on making a better life for their family at that same time as you?
I didn't know all of them. I actually met my oldest brother when I came home from prison. We knew he existed, but my dad had a kid at like 13 years old,
Right.
and by my mom, it was six of us total. It was six of us. My older sister passed as a stillborn, and then another one of my dad kids would be with us. So it was really seven of us there that I really knew. The other three I really was never around. Um,
And how did the other 6 turn out of the 7?
Two of my brothers was on the case with me. Um, and when we went, like they took all my mom's sons. My older brother, the one that was my dad's youngest kid before he married my mom, he ended up passing away or whatnot. He had got shot in the head, but he used to make him have seizures or whatnot. And my sister, when my older sister that's older than me, that's by my mom, she ended up getting married. She got 6 boys. She got a set of twins at the end. She also, her oldest son is he work in the prison, and her second oldest son, 17 and 0, is a professional fighter. Next coming up, champion of the world, most humble kid on earth. And like I said,
Right
she got a little
now?
twin. Yeah, right now he took up boxing. He's finna
How
be
old is he
24
now?
years old. He's 23. He'll be 24 in October.
And this is your baby brother,
No, my sister's
your sister's
second oldest
youngest kid.
son.
Okay. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. So he started
Love it.
following by. This is second oldest. Yeah. So
Love it.
it
And you
was
get to
sweet.
be a part of that journey with him?
100%. Like
I
me
love
getting to
that.
see him coming home and able to, show him a few things in the gym and actually seeing him on his first TV fight. It was just amazing.
That is awesome.
It
Now,
was amazing.
let's pivot a little bit. 1996, you are 16 years old, straight out of Gary, Indiana, and you're now at the Junior Olympics. Where was it held?
This just so happened that year it was that was the first year they did the 15 and 16-year old. So it's a bracket that you fight. So you have to build your way up. You got to win the state tournament. You got to win the regional tournament would be like whatever your region in, and then you do the nationals. I actually lost in the nationals. This was the first year that they was gonna allow the 15 and 16-year-old to compete in a world game thing. This was like something new. And I put everything in it. And I will always beat this guy, but I would never get to go so far because you had to have so much money
Right.
to, to go travel and do this in these tournaments. But I used to be the only one winning for Indiana, like in a regional level. So a lot of times I couldn't even go. So this year though, the guy that I beat, the coach felt like you didn't win. And it was his son. And he said, you didn't beat this kid. And they said, I'm packing up finna go home. And they said, no, you're going, we want you to represent the United States. And they took me instead, and I was the captain of the team. And I ended up
Wow.
fighting a kid that was 50 and 0, had never lost an amateur fight, which once again
From
took,
where?
he was from England. His name was Chad Dawson. I'll never forget this fight. I beat the kid. I knew I beat the kid. He was like crying, thinking that he lost with his head down. When they said his name, it was just like, and it was the year that was the first time they took the juniors to fight the people in the world games like other countries. And we was winning the United States. So they said they felt like they had to take a couple fights from us. And I was one of them that they took, and it broke me down. He ended up winning the gold easily, so I felt like I would have won the gold, and I took it, and I just came home. I stopped boxing for like a year and a half because it was going into my senior year, and I said that I wanted to focus on school so I can graduate. I ended up making the honor roll that following year, focus on school, and when I came back out of it at 18, I had like one more amateur fight, and I came out of it, said I was gonna turn professional.
And you were the first in your among your mother's children to graduate.
Well, on my daddy's side, I was the first Tanner male to graduate.
Look at that. Awesome. Well, congratulations. I know that made him very proud of you.
100%.
Yeah, awesome. So now you're pro. What at 18? When did you suffer that debilitating injury?
I hurt my foot around, I was like 21, 22, 21. I got a newborn on the way. My first child, which is still my only child, Charles Jr. Um, and I went to the streets to try to, cause now I didn't,
Now, is this before the injury or after the injury?
after the injury.
Okay, so before the injury, you are now professional. You suffer an injury that hurts your
Yeah,
foot.
yeah, I had heel spurs, and it was
How do you
and
get
doing
heel
the
spurs? Being on your
um,
feet too much?
I don't know, but it was bad, and it was, so I had to get the surgery, so it slowed me down. And I wasn't fighting, and I felt like I had the whole city on my back because everybody's looking like, listen, I'm finna turn pro, I'm finna be world champion, we finna go make millions of dollars, I'm taking y'all out of here, and that was my mindset.
And now
And
you're three
now,
years in, and now you suffer an
I
injury,
mean, you
and
got
now you
family
can't
members.
fight.
They taking off. They not using drugs no more. They not drinking. They all believing in this dream because it's like, do this, and we're gonna go to another level. And it
That's
went
a lot
bad.
of
So,
pressure, Charles.
but I was built for it though. It's just I took a shortcut, and I went to the streets to help fulfill those money situations and money problems or
Do you
whatnot.
think you would have
And
been able to get back into boxing had you not taken that detour?
100% because I had got back into boxing anyway, but I got arrested.
Mm. Okay, so that was the pre. Now we're talking about the during. So the pre-conviction, you're at the top of your game. You're
I
on the
just
top
had
of the
fought a
world, right? Nothing
uh,
but,
I,
opportunities ahead. But then you get
uh,
injured, you slow down in boxing, and now you, but that's not, I mean, but drugs in that fast life doesn't sound like it was something that was a part of your personal vernacular.
no, but when you come from where I come from and you seeing the fast ways to go. So, I'm like, all right, let me do this right now because I got access to it. It's easy to get access to it.
And was this
And
your first time?
yes, I had
Wow.
never been arrested in my life about for anything. So it was easier for the guy who I worked for to give me the drugs because he felt like, he was seeing other things like, oh, they're not gonna mess with him. That's the boxer guy. He need the little things, this and other. But a lot of people, liked me and seen what was going on, even in the drug trade. So they was willing to work with me because they didn't have to worry about me robbing them. They didn't have to worry about me trying to kill them for the doing something bad because they like, they felt comfortable. And, you know, that started. And then I was doing good with it. So now when it's time for me to go back to boxing, it's like the guy don't really want me to quit. He was like, man, you got all of this, let it keep going. You got a movement going. So I end up fighting on TV and everything after the Hillsborough. I win. They bring me into a fight that they brought me in to lose or whatnot. The money was behind this other guy, but he had took a loss. So they was like, they knew I hadn't fought in like almost a year and a half or 2 years. So they was like, we're gonna bring him in. He's undefeated. You beat him. I had the wrong guy though. I ended up winning. And now I'm trying to leave everything alone. And then the guy that I worked for, he called, he kept calling me. Man, I really need a favor. I need a favor. I really need you to do this for me, this, that, and other. But all the time he was working with the FBI and he set me up and he was
Wow.
just a supplier. So when they locked me up, you know what I'm saying? I knew the code. So I'm thinking that I'm trying to save him because, he was Mexican and he had ties to different people and I know how they go. So I knew what could happen if you got in trouble. I wanted to set responsibility. So I told the people, everything's mine, let him go. But all the time he had the camera on and was working with the FBI at that all the time. So
Wow. And when you say the
I didn't
code,
believe it.
it's the code where you don't say anything, you don't snitch. Is that the
Right.
code you're talking about?
As well as you take the responsibility for your supplier, your boss. You take the weight for him and he take care of you. You take the case for him. I was willing to sacrifice that because when I didn't have nothing, he gave me a job to help me take care of my
Wow.
family.
But you
So
didn't
that's
know
how I
he
looked
was
at it.
setting you up.
No, I didn't know that at all. No.
So where is
So
he? I
when
mean, just out of curiosity, where is he now?
I don't know, I don't want to know.
You don't
I
know,
don't
you
want to.
don't care to
No,
know.
I don't want to have no
Whatever.
problems with those people. I
Yeah.
forgave everybody. And
Yeah.
I asked God to just never let me be around none of those
How
guys.
do you forgive that kind of betrayal?
You got to. I mean, the same reason you want for forgiveness for the things that you done in life that wasn't right. Like I made a bunch of kids feel like sometimes like maybe how I felt when I wanted a new shoe or a new bike and I couldn't get it because the money went to the drug guy. So therefore, I made a lot of kids probably feel like that because their parents was using drugs and they was using my drugs. So the best way that I want the same forgiveness. So I just forgive it and stay away. And it worked.
I know. I
When
mean,
I was when I was holding on to it, it was hard for me inside the prison.
it is.
So it was hard for me. I was having harder times, just with my thought process and thinking. Those guys out free living their life. It took an older guy to explain it to me, and he was just like, what, even though I had an up spirit, but I would have my days, and he would be like, listen, what are you holding on to it for? You can't change nothing. They are who they
Mm.
are, and you're who you are. So don't. And he said, what if David would have changed? What if Jesus would have changed and got mad and reacted? Look how
It
what he
is.
say. Look at it
It,
like that.
it is something that, I mean, you are absolutely correct. I too am a Christian. I gave my life to the Lord when I was 19 years old. And there is something there that when you're holding on to anger and hatred and you're ruminating, going over and over and over in your head how someone has done you wrong, how that just destroys your life. It can throw you into mental health. crisis, it robs you. So you've already been robbed of your freedom, and now you're holding on to this hurt, which is only robbing you further.
Well, I executed my constitutional rights. I lost trial. I was given a double life sentence. They
How do
sent
you
me
get a
straight.
double life sentence out of this is your first time ever being in trouble with the police? How do you come up with a double life sentence?
When you go on a trial with a broken system, with a broken justice system, that's how you can get it. It was no real drugs confiscated, no firearms, no large sums of money. It was only
Non-violent.
and it was only the drugs that the supplier and the people he was dealing with got caught with. Had nothing to do with me. Um, the amount of drugs that I was there to help him with that day, the max on it should have been like 6 years, 5 years. So with me being in no trouble, I could have got maybe 4 years, 5 years tops. And I ended up getting a double life sentence, sent to a max prison. I lost all my appeals. Um, and then Obama came out with the clemency project that he was doing on his way out. And you had to been down 10 years. You hadn't had to have a bad background inside the prison. Had to be a nonviolent case, and this, that, and the other. I fit all the prongs. On top of it, I had never been arrested. I was a 19-0 fighter. At the time in 2016, I was only 36 years old. I could have still competed. Um, I had an immaculate prison record. I was working, trying to motivate those guys and doing certain things on that nature. I kept a job in prison. I stayed in contact with my family. I refused to be a picture on the wall for my son or just a voice on the phone. I was really in his life. I'm talking to his teachers at school. I'm doing
Wow.
everything from a maximum security prison where it's not like TV. People in there dying. They getting killed left and right. And I was denied by that as well.
Why?
And so they didn't. The Obama administration never gave me a reason. I fit all the prongs, but they didn't do it. So
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 who so
um
who ultimately gave you your freedom?
oh, this is the good part. So I got denied by all of that. I ended up filing a motion myself, and I won it with the help of Brittany Burnett. We won the motion, and they granted me the life sentence off, but they gave me 30 years. They should have let me go free, but the judge said, "No, we're gonna give him 30 years, the max of it." So he gave me the max of the sentence again.
So you went
Um,
from double life to now 30 years.
yes, in
But
2016, they denied me the clemency, and then I filed another motion, and they denied my freedom again, but they dropped it to 30 years. So then the judge passes away. I had a dream, and God told me to get up and write down what I wanted. And in the dream, he said President Trump was gonna let me go. Everybody thought I was crazy. I sent it home, and my sister made the post in 2018. We still have the post. I wrote it. I wrote scripture that went behind it that backed it up. And October 21st, 2020, I'm laying in the bed, and they came. Bunch of officers like, we need to talk to you in the back. I get to the back. I'm thinking like, maybe I'm finna go to the hole. I'm finna get strip searched. This natural. I've been around this. They said, man, we got to get you out of here. I said, well, where I'm going? They said, President Trump signed off on your clemency today. You're a free man. And an hour later, I was in a hotel waiting for my son and them to come and get me.
what? Just
Yeah,
like that.
just like that.
Did you petition
Yes,
Trump, his administration?
I petitioned. I wrote the White House once a month. And I told you when I had that dream in 2018, I said I wasn't filing no more no more motions. I wasn't gonna take no more money from family and friends to hire lawyers. I said that, I believe in God. God said he was gonna do it. And he did it.
Wow. When
Yep,
did you
he was
give your
used
life
as a
to the
vessel.
Lord?
I mean, I believed as a kid. I used to go to church,
I mean, I believed as
as
a
a
kid.
kid.
I went to church as a kid, but I
I
didn't
believe
actually give my life.
I got to I did it before I went to prison,
Mhm.
right before I went to prison. but I really got a relationship with him with what the trials and tribulations I had to go through
All
when
right.
I got arrested. When I got arrested, I watched my whole life, everything I worked for, I started to lose. They had me in a county jail at the beginning to where basically we would only visit like this, to where my family would be in a part of a building. They'd be on a mic. That's how I watched my son. They didn't even let me visit through glass. Um, I didn't go outside. I didn't go upstairs for like almost 4 years. And because they held me in the county, it took 2 years to take me to trial. And then it took 2 years. The judge had a diabetic problem and he was getting his legs taken off and he refused to let my case go. He said he wanted to sentence me. So he came back to sentence me like maybe after a week after he got his legs cut off. And I mean, you could tell he was off the medication. On one of the articles when we was giving key testimony to why he shouldn't give me a life sentence, he was dozing off, going to sleep. So, but like I said, as I look back at it, it was just all a part of what I had to go through. Like God knew I was gonna go through it, and I was the one. I was chosen. So once I started realizing that, I was at ease. I told God when I had that dream, this is what it is. Let's go. But if I gotta stay here for the rest of my life, then use me in some type of way to help these people here. And that's when everything started to change. That's when I learned how to forgive people. That's when I learned how to ask
Mm.
God to keep people away from me, and that I don't need to be around, and things of that nature. And also let me be a light to the people, not by what I say, but by off my lifestyle. On how I moved at the worst part of me. When and the things that I did based on my character and not my reputation. So that's what really changed things, and that's the relationship that I had got. I just felt like I know for a fact he real.
How did how how did Jesus? Because I know people are listening, and some people see Jesus as, this make believe character. I believe he is real. I have seen him show up
Mhm.
in my life. I've seen him make a bridge into a different way of thinking and living for myself. He's very real to me. But of course, I'm not going through, I mean, I have my challenges, but I'm not going
Yeah.
through something a challenge, so overwhelming as what you went through. How did
Right.
Jesus make himself real to you to where you can say, okay, I trust you?
Cause he stripped me from everything and everybody, to where before I went away, it wasn't nothing that I couldn't get done or I wanted to be the one to do for my family and my friends. So now when I get incarcerated, the people that I thought would be supporting me, or better yet, the people that I wanted to be supporting me, wasn't. And I believe God allowed them to, hey, step back so he can really step up and learn me, so he
Mm.
could get a real relationship with me. Y'all leave him alone right now. And even some of
I
those
do
people
believe that. I
I
do
was
believe
bitter at.
that.
Yeah, I was bitter at, but they came back. Some didn't come back, and those was the people he cleaned me up away from. But the other ones was able to come back, and we was able to forgive one another, and we was able to move on. And then that's when I was really able to talk to him and listen to and hear him back. When you got so many people around you, you can't hear, and that's natural and natural life. So if you got so many people around you and you're trying to do so many things regular for them, when are you gonna have the time to hear God talk to you? You got so much other stuff going on around you, so you don't have the time. So I believe that I was set down then to hear him and know that it's real. And I wasn't around beating people over the head with the Bible, and I feel like I should do. Even right now, I should do more. But at the end of the day, when you hear about my life story and my life, I'm gonna always give them the praise and glory first. I'm gonna tell everybody, like even with the president, he was used as a vessel. He could have been like Jonah for the people that know the story. He could have said no, but he
Yeah.
didn't. He was obedient to God. Whatever the Spirit God sent to him to say, hey, let do go. That's what he did. And that's why I'm here right now today.
Wow, that is amazing. Now, for those who, I'm sure you hear all the talk about Donald Trump is a racist. He hates black people. It's not genuine. Have you
Mhm.
met him?
I actually met him 3 years afterwards. It's 100% fact that he read my petition. A lady named Brooke Rollins took my case to him after some other advocates, um, Alice Marie Johnson, Amy Povey, Brittany Burnett, um, Sharonda Jones, all these other people was reaching for me because they was looking for top cases that they thought that could get some help. I don't even know about this. I didn't know Alice. I talked to Amy and stuff. Amy was doing a lot of things. I didn't know Brooke. They was fighting behind the scenes.
Right.
That was God doing it. But they took the stuff to him. He was hands on with everything. And he said, I wanted that. He said that guy don't need to be in prison. Let him go today. And the next day he signed off on it. So with that being said, um, I was around real racism. You being in the South, I'm pretty sure you saw real racism.
Yes.
I saw it to where these men wouldn't even look me in my eyes or go to the water fountain after me or whatnot. So if he was a racist, why would he let a black man go from Geary that he don't know? Everybody say he let his friends go and this, that, and the other. I'm not his friend. I wasn't his friend. He didn't know me. And he sent me back to be reunited with my son, who I left when he was 2 years old. My mother and father had passed away. My oldest brother had passed away, who we was close to. I came home to that, and he played a major role in that by signing that paper. So how could you call him a racist? Like that offends me to a certain level if you talking about real racism.
I tell people that all the time, right? Like I know I know what real racism feels like. Absolutely, right? Because of where I grew up, and it will make the hair on the back of your neck stand up.
The real one. That's the
every
real one.
every organ in your body comes to attention when you're facing real racism. Now I live outside of Philadelphia, and yes, you meet people who don't like you. I don't know if it's racism or if it's classism today. It feels
Yeah.
different than what real racism feels like in the deep South. And yet both of them want your detriment, right? So whether it's real racism or classism, where they don't think you're worth very much, I mean, it's
Mhm.
all still pretty much the same as far as how it shows up in your life and hinders you.
Yes. But I mean, sometimes though I learned in life though, some people to build themselves up, they gotta break somebody else down. So,
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely. Yeah.
a part of that, I get that. I was getting that question a lot in the media when I really came home. I
What
actually got
question?
them, is Trump a racist? Is this and that and the other? Um, I address it accordingly. But I got to honestly meet him last November. I had been
Hmm.
home almost 3 years, and I was with my son. We was actually at Mar-a-Lago. I was doing a speaking engagement there because I sit on the panel with America First Policy Institute for the
Right.
Athletes of America,
Hmm.
and we did an event down there. And Brooke actually got to take me to him with the famous Coach Lou Holtz. Lou Holtz loved my story. He know I'm about fatherhood and another chance, and just showing real redemption. So they brought me to him. Secret Service came and got me, took me to him. And the first thing he said was like, man, he touched me his face, you beautiful. But he said, your son look better. And he said, but he whispered in my ear and said, you, there's no way you're supposed to have that much time.
Yeah.
And that's
How
why I
much
brought
time
you
did
home.
you spend?
16, over 16 years.
So your son was 18 when you came home.
Yeah, he was turning 19, just graduated from high school. Um, I didn't get to see him graduate from high school, but I was able to take him to college. And I was just May 4th. He graduated early. He played football for the University of St. Francis in Fort Wayne. And I got to see him walk across the stage and
Look at
graduate with a
that.
degree in business management.
And that's your legacy. Let me pivot
And
real
he
quick
was the
before I
first one to graduate college. So he
look at that.
broke it. So he broke my record.
Yes, look at that, right? Talk about turning ashes into something beautiful.
It's beyond
It,
beautiful. We got a beautiful relationship. I just got married December 30th. He was my best man. I mean,
congratulations.
he's my best friend, and I told him, you know, they say a boy's first hero is his father, just like a little girl, her first love is her father. But I told him we got to change it because you my hero. He went through so much and as well going through me. He didn't want to learn how to ride a bike. He wanted me to teach him, so he taught himself. He was so self-taught with everything. But look how it turned out. And a part of that, to move ahead, just to get my story out, to set the record straight about what real struggle is, what real fatherhood is, what real redemption is, and even things with President Trump to set some things straight. I wasn't his friend. He really chose my case to let me go. God sent him something in his spirit to do it. He did it right after he got out of COVID. When he caught COVID, the following week when he returned back to the office, he let me go. So
Look at
maybe
that.
laying in the bed. Why don't they say he was laying in the bed and God told him, hey, go let this guy go and go home to his family and whoever it is he decided. We don't know. Why don't y'all say that? And I'm doing my autobiography, which comes out September 3rd. It's called Duke Got Life, and it's going to show the struggles as well as the things that I overcame in that book. And it's a must read book. It's going to be at Amazon, and it's going to explain a lot of those things. And definitely,
I
I
love it.
believe if people read it, they will have a different look at President Trump, um, especially on the racism side.
Duke, I please, when you get when the book comes out and you get the link from Amazon, please stay on after we leave. I would love to get your number so you can text me the link and I will
Okay.
send it out to my email list as well. I would absolutely do that. This
If
story
you
has been
can, though,
um
I did a drop last night. Actually, we did it last night to where they can go to www.charlesduketanner and sign on .com and sign on to the link and sign up on my email list. So therefore I can keep them informed too.
I
And then
love
therefore
it.
you can do it. So it's www.charlesduketanner.com and you'll be able to go on there and see a few things on the website.
Well, I am so very grateful for you and for you sharing this story. And it is an encouragement because life is hard. Life is
But
hard. And sometimes it's followed up with go get a helmet. But life is tough sometimes.
but you
And you
just
don't know.
you just gotta keep going though. You gotta get up. You know the saying, you from the South, you get knocked down, you gotta get, but if you could look up, get up. And that's just been my motto. I came home running, speaking. Jack Brewer, NFL player, he
Love
gave me
Jack.
he gave me my first speaking job because he heard my story about me and my son relationship, which led me to speak at Liberty University, where I met Julio Gonzalez, who's a billionaire that's the owner and founder of Engineer Tax Services. And he watched me for like 2 years to where he called me like about 7 months ago and said, you got a new job title. And I said, what are you talking about? He said, you're going to be a community developer for Engineer Tax Services. You're going to go out and you're going to help the minorities get grants and learn them and teach them about grants and cost segregation and other tax benefits that people of your color don't know about. And you're going to work some of the biggest deals that you could probably dream of. He said, I had this vision and I need you to take that. And he gave me
I
that
love
job
it.
for the last 6 months. So that's what I've been working on, and working with different people and setting out different phone calls and you know getting getting a lot of activity to the company to where he's so thankful for us. So therefore, where everything was, like and Joseph said when he told his brothers, everything the how y'all playing was so evil. God used it for my good for the people though, and that's my vision, and that's I don't know the end of this podcast. That's how I want people to think. Use that negative for a positive, because you know, you don't know. You might just have to be in this situation for right now to get where you need to be. but even more important for someone else that's really looking at you, that's really, really in need, for them to overcome what they're going.
Wow. I feel emotional. I feel
Yeah,
like I get
that's
like, this is speaking to me, and I know that this is speaking to so many other people. Hold on, persevere, don't give up. I
no.
have a little image in my children's bathroom of this seagull trying to swallow a frog, and the
Hmm.
frog is halfway down his throat, but you see the frog holding the seagull by the neck,
Yeah,
choking him as he's being swallowed, and the image says, "Never give up."
and
Never
never give
give
up.
up is what I want to say to someone, regardless of what the situation may be. Never give up. Keep fighting. Duke, you are a perfect example of that. I'm so very grateful that you said yes to this interview. Thank you.
Oh, no problem, man. We'll be back. Once the book come out, maybe I could come and read a chapter with you, and people can call in on it. I was reading about. I got some advice from someone who's did a lot of things with books, and she was telling me that during COVID time, a lot of people did these type of interviews. So maybe we can have one of those
I
to where
love it.
I can read to introduce you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love to do that with you.
Absolutely. I believe we've
Most
each been given a platform, and the best thing we should do is ask God, what can I do with this platform that
yes.
lifts people up, that shares hope with people? I would love to do that. I think that'd be so cool for all of you who want to learn more about Charles. I mean, we're just scratching the surface of his story. Go to www.charlesduketanner.com. I will make sure that we put this in the in the in the description for this episode.
Oh yes.
Charles Duke Tanner, thank you, sir.
Thank you
Stay
so
right
much.
there. Stay right
Okay.
there. For
Okay.
everyone else, thank you so much for listening. I hope you are encouraged. That's the point of all of this, is let's talk to real people. And we have a lot of talking heads out here running around all over the place, doing conferences and everything. And our lives have not improved since these influencers have come on the scene. But I believe there is real hope. And like you, I am out to search for it and to share
Amen.
it. Blessings. Talk to you
Blessings.
soon.
Thank you.
Stay right there, Charles.
Yes, yes.
Bye, everyone.